guests today are at the forefront of changing that narrative. Now I'm thrilled to be joined by Ben and Georgia from Motorway for a conversation titled Under the Hood, How Motorway is Powering a Seamless Customer Journey with AI. Now over the next 30 minutes we'll be exploring how they are using AI to build a transparent and trustworthy customer experience, and we'll divide our chat into 3 parts. The first will be how they're directly improving the customer experience, and the second will be looking at the technical applications, and finally we'll discuss how the crucial element of building a culture that truly enables data and AI. Ben, Georgia, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Now I'd like to kick off with a quick question to our audience, if you don't mind. Now, if everyone can please just put their hands up if they have sold a car, ever. I won't pick on you, I promise. Okay, a good few hands. Now, if you could keep your hand up if you enjoyed the experience of selling your car. Okay, a lot went down. That's great. That's going to be really helpful for the rest of the session. So thank you for that. Extra points for participating. Now I'm going to address this to you both to kick off. Start a little bit about the Motorway experience and the customer journey. Before implementing these advanced solutions, what were the biggest points of frustration in the customer journey that made you identify AI as a critical tool?
Yeah, thanks. So who here's heard of Motorway, firstly? Put your hands up. Excellent, okay. So over half, that's good use of the marketing spend, I guess. So before Motorway existed, you kind of had a few choices to sell your car. Obviously half of you have, I suppose, so you have some idea. But you've either got the sort of part exchange route, so you're buying a new car, you trade in your car, and it's extremely easy for you. Generally, though, in that process, you don't get a good price for your car. The dealer that you're selling it to typically doesn't want your car in something like 60-70% of the time when you part exchange your car. That dealer will resell your car on to a different dealer who specializes in selling that. So dealers are fussed about the cars they take. Alternatively, you can sell it on Auto Trader, right? You can sell it privately, and that might take a few weeks. So maybe you have to deal with quite a few inquiries, test drives. It can be tricky, but that's probably the best way to get a good price for your car. And the Motorway founders sort of saw this problem and thought, we can do something better here. We can use technology to try and make a process that is both easy and gets a fair price for your vehicle. So Motorway is a digital business. We don't actually buy the car off you, unlike some of our friends that maybe buy any car. Instead, we are seeking to basically, we're an online auction. So we take the best profile of the car that we can of your vehicle. We try and put it in the best light, and we put that to our network of 7,500 dealers across the UK, which is over 3/4 of the dealers across the UK now. It's the largest online network of car dealers. And that means that there's an extremely good chance that the car that you've got is desired by at least one of them, right? Normally, quite a lot more than that. And so they're competing to try and bid their best price for your car. And that's the sales pitch, basically. I'm not going to go into any more of the sales pitch, but that's the general idea. The way this works, and the reason that Motorway exists and can exist now is because it's powered by technology. And we use a lot of AI, and we'll talk about that across the session as to how we enable that process where it wasn't previously possible before.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Ben. That's a great overview, I think, for everyone who hasn't heard of Motorway as well. So no, thank you for that, Ben. Leading from that, Georgia, can you tell us how AI-enabled conversations on your platform are helping you to improve the customer experience at Motorway?
Yes, sure. So I guess from my perspective, the transformation lead at Motorway, I come at it with a contact strategy lens. So when I talk about customer experience, I'm talking about it from how we serve our customers in terms of service and sales. So the way that we've really enabled AI to improve our customer experience is historically, when it comes to selling your car, we believe that obviously human-led experience is really important, but we really wanted to understand what it would take in terms of being able to support our customers digitally when selling, the second most valuable item that they own. And Motorway feel very passionate about providing an amazing experience when it comes to speaking to our customers. We were traditionally 100% voice contact centre. And therefore, to be able to move forward into that digital first environment, what we wanted to do is leverage AI first, to really understand what that adoption looked like when supporting customers in a digital environment. So In a contact centre world, we went through the sort of non-traditional path actually. We were 100% voice, and what we did first is we enabled AI first to really understand what that customer adoption looked like in terms of being able to speak to us from a service and sales perspective. And actually it was really, really interesting. We launched it, and what that meant is that we didn't need to put people in front of it first, so there was efficiency from that perspective. And we really learned about how our customers wanted to speak to us digitally when supporting them when selling their vehicles. So it was really interesting, and we did it in a sort of non-traditional way, should we say. 30% of the time people were speaking to us out of hours. It really helped us understand how people needed to communicate with us, and therefore there was that need for people wanting to speak to us digitally, and that's really helped drive our strategy going forward.
Absolutely, and that's a great step-by-step into that journey, so thank you for that, Georgia. And we talk about the human touch with AI, we talk about it a lot. How does Motorway balance AI-driven efficiency with that essential human touch, and what principles guide you in deciding where you draw that line?
Yeah, I think we all know that delivering an AI sort of first experience will drive efficiency for your business, but I think what's most important is about you're looking at the efficiencies that you gain, and therefore how can you be different? So what are you doing with the benefits that you're achieving through that? So for us at Motorway, we feel really passionate about customer experience, and we really wanted to double down on how can we deliver a human-led experience that we wouldn't have been able to do traditionally without additional cost. So what we did is, through the efficiencies that we achieved, we are able to deliver a bereavement service for our customers, making sure that we're there for them in those critical moments that matter. So, when you sell your car personally, but obviously when you're selling on behalf of somebody where, you've lost a loved one, that's a really important moment in their lives. And we found it was really important for us to provide that dedicated one-to-one support with humans. So whilst we've got AI on one hand, the efficiencies that we're delivering, what we're doing is we're pushing that back into the business and delivering a better experience for people that need it the most. So that's what we're doing.
No, that's incredible, and thank you for sharing that. Ben, anything to add from you?
Yeah, I think one of the really exciting things about working at Motorway, and one of the interesting things about the business is that, we're selling cars ultimately, we're not selling shoes or sort of high volume, low margin items. And so when you're selling your car through us, we take that really seriously. It's not quite selling your house, but for most people it is their second most valuable asset if they do own a house.
Absolutely.
Or it's their most valuable asset if they don't own a house. And so our contact center has unique challenges as a result of that you maybe don't get from a typical contact center, that if you work in a bank or something like that, or someone needs to reset their password, or they can't transact a transaction. In these cases, not to belittle those situations, it's just that often we're dealing with large value, high value assets, and so there's lots of challenges that come with that. As a result, Motorway is founded on the basis that we really, really should care about that customer experience, not because we are benevolent and we are those things, but also it's because it's really in our interest and in your interest for that experience to be as good as possible. So when we think about how we use AI, it's not about efficiency first, and it's easy to say that when I'm up here, but it really is about how can we use it to improve that customer experience. And that human touch is always going to be there, because you might need it. If you've got a specific situation, maybe you're in negative equity with your car and you need some reassurance or some understanding about what that process looks like, we're always going to have that for you. But at the same time, if you don't need that and you want to get through as quick as possible, we can use AI to help in those situations. And I think it's one of the really exciting parts about working.
Absolutely, and it's grown massively. So now it's great to hear from you both what that looks like.
I think just leading on that as well, when it comes to the customer experience, we know that there is that red line for us. And actually, if we are implementing AI from our perspective, it's about making sure that it will improve the experience. And we all know that we've probably had discussions with prior chatbots where you get all sorts of responses where it doesn't understand, and we really felt that now was the right time for us with technology and where it's moving to really drive that improvement. So yeah.
Absolutely. No, thank you both. Now I'm going to, no pun intended here, but shift gears and go under the hood, as the title promises, everyone. Trust is a huge part of any marketplace model. Ben, how does AI help you to improve the reliability and therefore trust of your listings?
Yeah, it's a good question. So when you're thinking about building an online marketplace like ours, we're a two-sided marketplace, right? So your sellers are selling to professional car buyers. There probably isn't many situations in which you have a greater information asymmetry than in the car market, where you as a car seller, you know an awful lot about your car specifically, how it's been maintained, what's wrong with it, what's right with it. And a dealer on the other side has a really good idea of what your car's worth in the market. They've got no idea about the condition of it. And most of the time, you're at odds with each other, trying to get the best situation for yourself. When you're selling your car online, the information asymmetry widens further, right? Because the dealer doesn't know what condition the car's in. And so typically, if they've got a range that they feel the car is worth, they can't bid optimistically and hope it's there. They have to bid at the bottom of that range. So to your question, we're using AI to try and narrow the gap of uncertainty on the vehicle. So we're trying to give the dealer the most transparent view of that car. One of the ways we do that is by curating the images. So for those of you that have sold your car before, typically if you are unguided, you're terrible at taking photos. I'm sorry you are, even though it's a valuable asset. Typically we see unguided photos that are not a great representation of the vehicle. We have really high standards for our photos on our platform. We try and imitate professional photography from a user's smartphone. And we used to do that by having a whole team of people that would look at your photos after you've taken them and tell you whether or not they conform to our standards and whether or not they should be retaken to get the best price for your car. So for instance, if you haven't got 360-degree coverage of the vehicle, the dealer can't be sure that that car hasn't got damage somewhere. So we've now got AI. Well, that's a really painful process, I should say. Imagine if you've gone outside, you've taken your photos, maybe it starts raining or you've gone to work. An hour later, you get an email or a phone call that says, hey, we think some of your photos are particularly good. Could you retake them for us? And maybe, now it's raining or it's got dark at this point and you have to wait till the next. There's so much friction involved in that process, but our founders weren't willing to compromise on the quality of the platform. Obviously, a higher quality platform drives higher quality dealers and higher quality bids as well. So we developed a solution that gives real-time feedback on your photos using computer vision models. We've got 18 computer vision models in production now. All of them are running to give you real-time feedback on those photos. So have we got 360-degree coverage of the vehicle from the right angles? We're doing angle detection, so we can see sort of what the angle is of the photo that's taken. We can see, is your boot clear? Because if your boot is full of stuff, it's not necessarily indicative of that car being well looked after, and they can't tell the condition on the inside. Have you got a photo that's clear of the dashboard, and can we see all 4 of your alloys, for instance, close enough that we can tell if there's damage to the alloy, so the dealer might need to refurbish that? All of this goes into the process, and all those models are running to give you real-time feedback on those photos. So if any of you have been through the process, hopefully you'd have seen that, and that ultimately translates to more confident bids and higher prices for your car.
Absolutely, and thank you for that, Ben. And I can imagine you get some interesting pictures when people send them through and some interesting range of quality there.
One of those models is detecting if it's not a car, and we do get quite a bit of that. We've had cats, we've had shoes, we've had keys, and other things that I can't talk about. But
thank you for that, Ben. On that note, another area of uncertainty for buyers is a car's maintenance record. Now, I'm really interested in knowing how you use AI to analyse and interpret the car service histories and what that technology looks like.
Yeah, thanks. Hands up here if you know what service history of a car is. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to explain it for those that don't have your hand up. A service history on a car is really important. It's the maintenance record of the car. Most cars are required to be serviced every 1 year or 12,000 miles or something along those lines. Some cars vary on that. To a dealer, that's massively important because if your car's been serviced as it should have been, that's called full service history, and a dealer can sell that car for more money. It's also, if it's in its warranty period and you don't have that, then the car's void of its warranty. So that can change the car's value by about 20% or so in some cases. Now, again, when Motorway was founded, we cared a lot about being able to identify the service record of the vehicle and be able to present that to a dealer. It's another part of narrowing that gap of uncertainty. And typically, we had a whole team full of people, because it made sense for us to have that, who would go through those service records and identify how well has the vehicle been maintained, and does it have all the services it was expected to have. That's a really complicated job for a machine to do. And I would say 2 years ago, it was an impossible job for a machine to do.
Absolutely.
You've got screenshots of websites. You've got you've got photos of invoices. You've got photos of logbooks with stamps and handwriting, and often not in the right places. You've got dashboard representations of it. There's so many different ways that someone can evidence their maintenance record, and historically, like regular OCR just wasn't cutting it. So we've spent quite a lot of time developing a solution that is a hybrid of computer vision and large language models, which is effectively taking the photo or the document that's been uploaded, identifying how many service records, if any, are in the photo, and putting bounding boxes around them in a segmentation approach. Then we send everything from that segmented area to our large language model, which is then extracting the information that you need, and then forming a digitized record of the service history, and then making the classification as to whether that car has got its full record of maintenance or not. It's probably one of the hardest OCR problems outside of like handwritten doctor's notes. So it's really unpleasant, and I know talking about document processing isn't like the most exciting thing, but I can promise you it's one of the most interesting problems that we solve, one of the hardest problems that we solve, and I think it's a real piece of IP for us that now we can get to the stage where you can upload your documents. You don't need to know as a seller whether or not you don't need to know anything about it, just upload what you have, and we can tell you, okay, we think you're missing one here, and that's what it means for the expectation of your car's value, and ultimately, hopefully, to get you to the best outcome, despite maybe not having a complete record, or if you do, what it means for your price going in the other direction. So, something that I'm really proud of, and something the team's really proud of, and it's made a big difference to the process now. So,
brilliant. Thank you for that, Ben. So that's a little bit about what Motorway is currently doing. But looking ahead a little, what are the views on how AI will be leveraged in general in the future?
Yeah, it's a big question.
I know, it's a big one.
So, Motorway was a big disruptor to the market, but obviously, Motorway's been around for 7 years now. Maybe we've been a bigger name, a name that you might have heard of for the last 4 years or so. And so, that's right about the time that other people might come and disrupt you. One of the big things I'm thinking about a lot is distribution channels. So, typically, the way that you would get business is that you maybe do brand spend, you make adverts, you might have seen us on TV if you watch BT Sport or that kind of thing, or SEO, right? Google was king, and you try and get yourself as high up the rankings. If you search for sell my car in the UK, typically Motorway is up there 1 or 2, we hope for 1 most of the time. That's shifting now, that balance is really shifting, and nowadays we're really focused on how do we find ourselves, if you ask ChatGPT, how shall I sell my car? What's the best way to sell my car? After this talk, have a go, see what you get. But I hope that we're up there. And that's the sort of thing I'm thinking about now. Going forwards, I think this is now, we're sort of speculating at this point. I think it's very likely that businesses like ChatGPT will seek to monetize by really disrupting that search environment, that distribution channel, and using their reach, not just ChatGPT, but obviously Gemini, Anthropic, all of the big ones that are used by consumers, to enable in-flow experiences, in-conversation experiences. So rather than having to be referred to our website from ChatGPT, says you should go and sell your car at Motorway or any of the other competitors that we have, you can instead have a first-party integration where it says, actually, would you like to understand the value of your car? Why don't you give me some details, and I'll come back to you, hit Motorway's API, come straight back to you. Typically, people are doing that by MCPs now. So we're developing an MCP that enables you to value your car through any of the distribution channels that might be available in the future, and also and to have that sort of conversational interface with us, so that you haven't got to come to the website to start an inquiry, to start a lead, to start that journey with us. I think that's going to be very significant over the next few years, and it's something that we definitely don't want to be disrupted by. So,
definitely amazing. I think there's been so much work recently, and I think you've grown massively in the last few years. It's so exciting. Now, we know the technology is incredible, and it only works, though, if the team culture is there to support it. How did you get to the point where you could really leverage AI? And what are the steps that you take to build and encourage a widespread data enablement culture? I'll address this to you both.
Yeah. Georgia will have a different perspective from our sort of call center and customer experience center, but from our side, it's definitely a journey. If you're a business leader in the audience and you want your team to be doing more of it, you can't just say do more of it and hope that it happens. So one of the first things we did is is to try and drive a really safe environment around it. And I think people say that often, a safe environment to explore and innovate and that kind of thing. What does it actually mean? Well, it means you genuinely reward people spending time in their week learning new things, developing new technologies. Even if it doesn't come to something, I think you have to value that. The learning is just as important as the outcome at this stage, because the potential is so great. I think you also need to let people fail a bit, and sometimes some of this stuff is scary. AI is a bit scary. We've got a fantastic legal team at Motorway. I think it's not always the first thing you think about when you think about innovation, but having a really strong legal team that is able to be up to date on whether we should be using Cursor or Windsurf, or whether their terms and conditions are okay to put our private data into. All of these things are really important. If you are a business leader and you've got a legal team who's not being able to keep up with this, I think that's something that you should start with, because they've really enabled us to give us the guidance of where we can try things and where we can't try things. And when you do feel safe in that environment, then it's a real unblock to innovation. So that's great. Last thing I would say is that people talk a lot about building a community around it, and I think that's really important that you do build a community. It's not just me as sort of the head of machine learning or head of AI to say, hey, everybody, we should be doing this stuff, come and try and do this stuff. You do need champions across the business. You identify those people. It doesn't necessarily align with job roles anymore. It can be anybody who's got that sort of curiosity, that spark to go and try it. Lean on those people, enable those people to help the people around them to grow. The other element to this, though, is I think a top-down approach can help, especially from the leadership. So if you've got buy-in that the leadership really care about this and really, if the CEO of your business is using it and being a great example to the rest of the business about how to innovate and how to be more productive every day, I think that really does help inspire people to go and do stuff. So I think it's almost like a sandwich, right? I don't think actually coming at it from the middle level really works. I think coming at it from the bottom and building a community and then showing great leadership at the top is really key to sort of enabling that culture.
No, I think that's a great insight there, and I like the sandwich analogy. It works. It works.
I was going to say, so I guess from a culture perspective, when it comes to the contact center world, I think what's really important from a sort of an AI first approach is what opportunities that creates for people. So naturally, when we're talking about delivering AI first experiences, that can naturally make people feel quite concerned or worried for the future. But actually for us at Motorway, what that's meant is that it's giving us new opportunities to create a culture of excitement of people to understand what new opportunities in terms of new roles, and giving them sort of places that they didn't think they were going to be able to be before. So we're talking about our frontline agents who are experts in terms of our processes and how we leverage those career paths for them so that they are able to build their future career on things that they didn't think was possible. So at Motorway, we've built a team sort of from the ground up, so our frontline teams are now actually working with our AI every day and improving the customer experiences that we're delivering at scale through the tools that we have. So from our perspective, in terms of the contact center space, that's really how we're supporting that culture and how we're driving innovation through people's career development and making them realise that actually this is stuff that they can get their hands on and they can really work with it every day. So it's really exciting for us, and it's also giving that opportunity to ease some of that concern as well when it comes to the terminology of AI and what that means to me in my role.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Georgia. Yeah. And on that note as well, that when you introduce AI in any organisation, there's always a natural fear of job displacements. Could you share an example of how you would bring the team, like customer service, along on that journey?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of leading on to that point from like a career perspective. It's talking about the efficiencies that we will gain, and therefore in doing so, what's the human side of things that we really want to double down on. So what new career opportunities we'll be offering from things like our specialist services, our one-to-one care, but then the new career opportunities for digital experience, having hands-on experience and actually working with the AI tools to deliver digital first experiences. So for us, it's about making sure that we're bringing people along the journey so that they can understand what we're doing and why, and they get an opportunity to influence it. So when we delivered some of our first AI first contact experiences, we involved everybody all the way from agents all the way through to execs. So we've done things like break the bot sessions where they would come along and they'd play with the tool and they'd give their feedback, which we found really, really engaging from our frontline staff. So yeah, been just doing lots of different activities from that perspective and really involving people along the way.
Absolutely, getting them all involved. And like you say, I think everyone has a place in AI now. It's everywhere and everyone can get involved with it. Thank you. Finally, because we're getting a little bit tight on time, to leave our audience with some actionable advice, if you had to distill your journey into a few key lessons, or just one key lesson, what would be the cultural takeaway you would share with other leaders who want to successfully embed AI?
You go first.
Yeah, so I guess I'd probably say 2 points. So the two most critical points I would say from an AI perspective will be when we're delivering our virtual assistant, we think about the integrations that we need to really deliver an end-to-end autonomous experience. It's very easy to get caught up in particular use cases. So you'll traditionally look at your high volume, low complexity, but if you don't look at it with the end goal in mind, you will limit your abilities to be able to fully automate. So I would say if you're just about to start on that journey or just about to go on it, make sure you're taking a step back and looking at the end goal in mind. Where do you want to get to? And therefore, how are you opening up your data from a business perspective to make sure you really have access to not only read data, but also do actions and updates to really enable that fully autonomous experience. And the other piece of advice I would also say is don't get caught behind the numbers. So it's very easy, when you're looking at delivering AI first experience, to look at your automation rates. It's great, we're doing really good, but don't lose sight. You need to get deep. You need to look at the conversations that your customers are having, making sure you feel comfortable with the quality of those as well. So, having that daily rhythm, that quality process that you have with your teams, and that daily rhythm is absolutely integral to driving improved experience.
Yeah, I completely agree. I guess my advice would be, 4 years ago when I was building AI teams, I was looking for people with master's degrees and PhDs in deep learning to develop the AI capabilities that the business needed. It's not so much the case anymore. We still have a need for that, but the barrier to entry to adding value is so much lower than it used to be now, that people, the things that we value most now is a curious mindset, that real passion for innovating, and the ability to learn and pick it up is so much easier. I think.
Put you on the spot with the advice.
I think my advice would be to dive in. One of the things that can happen when I say that is that there's so much opportunity that you don't know where to start. I think building an intuition as to what it can do well and what it can't do well, firstly, is really key. So if you haven't already, just try something. Try something small. Try something limited. Don't worry too much about whether it's the most valuable thing you could be doing. Like I said earlier, that learning is really key. So give it a go. Just dive in. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but the more of these sorts of things you do, the quicker and quicker you get at being able to leverage it. So, I think I would say just value curiosity, give it a go, try, and if your teams aren't doing that, really try and encourage that kind of mindset. It's a lot more about the curiosity and the ability to a sort of initiative, I guess is the word I'm looking for, to go and tackle things, because there's so much out there. There's so much value to add. We've only scratched the surface of what we can do, and I think we're doing quite some amazing things. But I'm limited by people's familiarity, willingness, intuition with the technology to be able to go and do more. So
I think also just saying on that as well, we really value that curiosity, because working with teams like Ben's team, it's really enabled us in customer services and sales to really see things that we didn't think were possible. So actually, some of the coolest things have been delivered through that curiosity of what your teams have done. So, I can really vouch for that piece as well. It's sometimes difficult to focus on those things when you're, looking at the other bits as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the classic case of what is the worst that's going to happen? You can learn something new, you can dive right in and just dip your toe in to try something new. But thank you so much to you both. Unfortunately, we are at time and I do have to wrap it up here. But if I can ask everyone to just give a hand to Ben and Georgia today. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, and to our brilliant speakers for such an incredible session. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks all. Thanks very much.
Thank you.